Okay, I am live, and I'm waiting for people to join the live stream. So hello everybody, this is Directed Energy. I think I'm Directed Energy anyway. And we are here to do a special Q&A session about Deadly Salvage. Hey Creator, how's it going, man? I'm gonna bring in some of the ships that people love. Everybody's favorite spaceship. Glad to hear that, crew. Nab, you want to go ahead and share things? Okay. Sorry for a little bit of the slow going here, but we're still figuring out exactly what we're doing. Hey, George. Welcome to the stream. I'm glad you guys were able to join us for the premiere. What did you guys think of the episode? Oh, I should have some music playing. Let me get that going. We're not very professional. Player. Everybody's favorite. All right. Thanks, George. Really appreciate that. So, do you guys have any questions about what you saw, about how we make it, about how we script, anything? We're here to answer your questions. I've got a few ships posted. Oh, I forgot the real favorite ship. Where is she? There she is. Shula. Everybody's favorite spaceship. Top. There. Pudding, you were indeed there. So Pudding has helped us several times with our puppeteering and piloting. We draw our help from our Discord. So if anybody here who is not in the Discord would like to join in the production of Deadly Salvage, we don't just take volunteers. We ask specifically for help, but you can't be asked for help if you're not in the Discord. So got our three protagonists here. Oh, I should bring in Nike. Everybody likes Nike, right? You guys like Nike? Your favorite ship? As a ship. Yeah. Apparently I'm missing a few blocks in this world. What is going on? Did I just lock up? There we go. That was weird. Apparently I hit F7 or something. Oh no. Here's the bad guy. George says he can't hear Nabarine. And the space engineer says Nike is next on the recreation list. You're not coming through at all. Pudding says he likes Nike's engine cluster. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. We are already hard at work at episode 6 here. I don't have any of the worlds up. Oh, that's what it is. Poor Nike's engines cluster. Hang on, this is the wrong Nike. Go. Nope, don't hear you. Oh! I know what the problem is. 1 second. Wait, are you coming in? Say something, Nab. Hang on, it might be on my end. 1 second, guys. Oh, every flippin' time. Try to say something now.
I'm saying something now.
Yes, it was on my end. Haha. Voice Meter, everybody's favorite voice program. lots of favorite things in this stream. All right, I was pulling the real Nike out. Would the real Nike please stand up?
Pudding, I'm not in the world right now. I'm just here for the Q&A because so usually we do our streams late at night because we have 3 children and they are all very young. And so when necessary, I need to be able to be mom.
Yeah.
So.
Come on.
What's a bit loud? Me?
Oh, it's upside down. There we go. You're loud. You sound okay to me. Am I just really quiet? That might be. Let me look. Look at my thing here. Oh, here we go. There we go. Is it easier to hear me now in comparison to Nabarine?
And here's the comparison.
I just turned my sound up a little bit. We've been playing with mic settings. Thanks, John. All right. So here we are. Here's this is the Nike that we saw during battle. There you go. Now it's reverse.
Now I'm quiet and you're loud.
Oh boy, I don't know what's happening. Someday I will actually get a soundboard. Bring that down a little bit, right about to there. Let's try that.
I am speaking so that we can test this to our awesome live audience.
Yes, our awesome 16-person live audience. Holy cow, I just realized how many people were watching. Hi, guys.
I know. We're so used to streaming late. Yeah.
For like 5 people, but now we've got 16. Okay, guys, so here we are. Do you guys have any questions, comments?
It can be about us and our creative process, or it can be about Deadly Salvage itself, and we'll try and answer everybody's questions.
All right. Looks like we got the sound issues worked out. Hello, Iwako. The man whose name we never say correctly. All right, yeah, thanks for the sound check, Pollen Pudding. Okay, so I've got all of our ships in here.
That sounded like a springtime snack. Pollen pudding.
Pollen pudding? Great. Pollen pudding. Do you have any deep lore into DS? Creator, we have lots of lore. One of the things we want to get going is a Deadly Salvage Wikipedia. I actually have it created, but I don't have anything in it yet, because right now almost all of the lore is in my brain case.
And our brain cases, yeah. We write it together actively. And so we both have ideas that we write at the same time in a live Google Doc. And so we write it together, and then we have our built-in editor. So we work with each other, and there's lots of lore. And after the video competition and how well that went, we are excited because a lot of the ideas that we have just don't work with the pacing of the overall Deadly Salvage arc, and so all of these backstories and fun scenes just wouldn't work in the actual series. But we're thinking more about doing little shorts and showing those scenes to you guys, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. So we have someone saying Matt says getting pops and crackles and audio is not bad, so don't worry about it now, but you should watch the stream later to hear it. Yeah, it's probably voice meter. Let's see. There were a couple other questions here. The next question was, I'm just going to go in order, guys, so feel free to keep asking. We're going to get to as many as we can. George Giannikos says, have you ever thought about how far Deadly Salvage will go? Honestly, it's going to go as far as we have story for. Like, when we first started, it was literally just, I want to make a little story. And what started, like Artemis, let me pull the first Artemis in here. Artemis, the salvage ship right here, it's actually, if you look at my blueprints here, it's actually called the YouTube Salvager. And the YouTube Salvager was originally going to be a little survival series between Nab and myself. And we were going to just only salvage and not not do anything other than salvage and play the game. And it turned out Nab is not a huge fan of space engineers, so I wrote a little script and we made the first episode of Deadly Salvage. Just as a little, oh, this is kind of funny. What can we do with this? And it was pretty fun. And so after that, we kind of got together and I wrote a second script with a little bit of Nab's help. And then it kind of took on a life of its own. It was, we ended up with this huge long arc and we're like, okay, I guess we'll make a series. And so then Nab and I went full collaborative on the scripts. She and I basically write 50-50 all the scripts. And it's funny because I tend to write Artemis's lines and she tends to write Detrevny's lines because I'm much more of the sci-fi hard science guy and Nab is much better at writing human emotion. Not that I am not an emotional person. I'm so emotional. But I do have problems getting emotions to come out on paper sometimes, although I'm pretty good at situations. As how far it goes, we have the second season that's going to be ending soonish. There will be definitely 6, possibly 7. We're actually having some rewrites on episode 6 right now because we wanted to improve some stuff after how good this episode was. And then we have a season 3 planned that we are writing. Now, if the stories that we have do not go beyond a season 3, we probably won't do a season 4. But if we have a story that we can tell in a season 4, then we will.
The main thing that we are worried about is I'm sure we all have had an experience where we're in love with a TV show and it's like, yes, I love this show. Keep on writing it. And then the writers go, and then it goes downhill and it's so disappointing. And we don't want that to happen to Deadly Salvage. And so if we don't feel like we can write a story that we feel passionate about and that we know will live up to our own standards, which are pretty high, we're not going to even attempt it because we don't want that happening to Deadly Salvage.
Yeah. I'm going to move on to the next question. And sorry, guys, I'm going to double check live chat. Okay. So, let's see. Paul Drive says, what gave you the idea for Nab to be an AI rather than a character? Okay, so first off, Paul, I'm going to let Nab finish most of this. Artemis is a character. Just because she's not a human character doesn't make her not a character in the story. But because Nab didn't play the game really much, I mean, she now takes part in our Saturday Survival series, but because she didn't play, I was doing most of the puppeteering myself, and so I just wanted something that was really easy. Initially, it was just the project was like, oh, we'll just do one engineer and his AI, and I've heard a lot of that kind of sci-fi trope going on, and it's almost always voice to text or a text to speech program. And Nabarine is a educated theater person, and she's very good at acting and voice acting and writing, and I thought it would be fun for her to take part in the creative process by giving her something that she hasn't really done before, because she's never been a computer before, and also her voice is perfect for it. It's so good for Artemis.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else to add to that, Nab?
I know that as we've been writing it, there have been times where I'm like, can I please be a human? Because I am an actress, and so it's difficult sometimes for me to be like, oh yes, I'm a computer, and frankly, being a computer who is also emotional is the most challenging thing I've ever done, and I love it because it's a challenge. But I can't use my breath because she doesn't breathe, so I can't use breath for emotional anything. And so I have to find ways to put emotion in there in ways that I've never done before. So it was fun. There have been a few voiceovers that I've been able to do for both this project and other projects where I could be a human. and that was lots of fun. But Artemis as an AI, it drives the story, having the AI and a human. And so it wasn't necessarily, oh, Nab, you have to be a computer. Like that wasn't what it was. I offered to be the voice of the computer. And I love Artemis. She's so sassy. I think she's so much fun to voice. But yeah, it's been fun to use my education and my training, and get back to acting, because as was said earlier, we are parents, and I am a mother before I'm anything else right now. So it's been fun to use my acting. And our eldest son he calls this series Artemis. He's like, "Are you working on the new Artemis?" And he just gets so excited, and he listens, and he's like, "Mom, Artemis sounds like you." And it's just fun to do that. So I don't know if that's exactly what you were looking for in an answer, but there you go.
Okay, checking what the next one is there. Let's see. Pudding had said, my awesome barrel roll with Artemis is only visible for 300 milliseconds. Pudding, as awesome as the barrel roll was, really didn't want to drag out that battle. When we first started it, it was actually about 40 or 50 seconds longer, and it just drags and drags and drags. Something that's really important with combat scenes is to make sure that they make sense and that they are exciting, but I don't know if you've ever been in an action movie and you're just like, wow, I wish they'd stop punching each other in the face, and then they punch each other in like the legs or something. It's like, okay, good job. Is it over yet? Are we done? Is anything happening? And I really wanted to avoid that and have a narrative to the battle itself. Wako,
because we can't do special effects and have them break buildings either.
Yes.
So no.
Yuako says, give link and we can fill it with what we know, talking about the wiki, and that will probably happen eventually, but I want to get everything written in there first. Let's see.
When we have time.
See, going up, Paul says, thanks for answering my question, and nabbering is great for Artemis's voice.
Yep. John Tech asked earlier what inspired the shape of Artemis.
Okay.
DE builds all the ships, so that's his
I don't build
question.
all the ships. That foundation in
that
there.
That is true, sorry.
That was Scarlet, and I modified it heavily. And then, I forgot the whatever it is. The Nerif built this thing. Utility form. This thing. Some Greek name, but Nerif actually built this. And it's kind of our like civilian citizen AI, the Utiliform, which hasn't been mentioned directly, but you've seen it on screen. But as for Artemis, so you'll notice that she's got this kind of double hammerhead shape, and that the heavy armor on the front and the rear, actually pretty much covers all the juicy bits from directly to front and directly to rear. And if you have ever read the series by David Wepper called The Honorverse, all their ships have this, what they call a double hammer-headed spindle shape. And I always thought that it'd be interesting to build something like that in Space Engineer, so that's where I was going with that. Those are all battleships, and Artemis is not a battleship. Well, I mean, this one isn't. That one over there might be a little bit. But this one, she doesn't have her favorite toy, the mass driver. But yeah, that's what inspired the shape. And I don't know. I've been really pleased with how her shape has evolved, because let me get the Battle Artemis in here. Because this, it went from that to this, and then to this over here. And I was just trying to think of things that would make sense. Like this version of Artemis here, she repaired herself with stuff from the Warform, with a Verdict's old body. And that's where this form came from. And then between seasons, while she was, hiding and running from humanity, she added some more armor around the sides to take impacts from her squishy core bits, and those actually served her well, as you saw in the battle in the last episode. A lot of Nike's rounds were slamming into this armor rather than hitting critical systems inside once her shields went down. Yeah. So, and the form has just been evolving almost organically. I've been just doing things as it seems to make sense, and what she needed to do, or what I thought she would feel that she would need to do to make her form still more functional, but without changing her very, very important hull profile, which she'd gotten used to. And I think honestly, she likes being a little slimmer and sexier because, I mean, she's a she. They all like that, right, Nab?
Oh my gosh, you're such an awful person. So, we're moving on to the next one. Smokey asked, I am quite interested in knowing how much time does it take to make one episode. And he says, being this high quality, thank you, I imagine quite a lot. And yes, a lot of time. So without the writing, right, which is its own thing, and the editing and everything that goes into creating the script, without that, getting footage depends a lot on what's happening. If there's a battle, we're going to be recording for upwards of 5 hours,
Something like that. Yeah, it was a long
something
time.
like that. And so battles can take 5 hours, and then anything that we need to piece together in wholes, things that don't make sense, we have to go back in and get later. Conversations, and just moving any of that stuff, the camera work, if we're not using the replay tool, then maybe it will be 3 hours. With the replay tool, maybe more. There's lots of bugs in the replay tool. It's cool, but there are lots of bugs, and it's very frustrating. But then editing is hours upon hours upon hours. And we only can do it. We mostly take turns. Like, we'll watch the kids taking turns, and then when they're asleep, if we're not recording something else for the channel. And so it takes, I don't know, how many hours do you suppose, finding music, putting music together, editing all of the stuff? How many hours do you think editing takes alone? Like, for this last episode, it's hard to tell.
Yeah,
I'd say at least 2 days worth, like actual 48 hours type of 2 days.
Oh, easily
Yeah.
that much. So it's works out to about, like, I think with recording and editing and applying effects and all that stuff, I think it ends up taking about 4 to 5 hours per minute of footage. Is about what it takes. It takes a long time. That's one of the reasons this episode came out on a Saturday instead of our usual Friday, although I'm really enjoying how many people watched today. So I'm contemplating maybe having them do daytime Saturday or Sunday releases in the future.
Yeah.
So
we just didn't want to put all of our content out on Saturdays,
we have
Saturdays
Saturday
when we do
survivals.
Saturday Survival. Yeah.
But I work during the day, so I can't actually be present for a premiere during the day, because I know a lot of you guys are from Europe, and usually you can't watch the premieres because you're asleep, because you're from the future. But today, we decided to do a little bit earlier so you guys could all take part, and I'm really enjoying how well this worked. Let's see.
BB asks, why is Nathan so cool? You know what? We don't know. He's just really cool. It helps that Kovabomb is a fantastic voice actor. And I know that he's watching. I don't know if he had to step out or not, but he did come in and tell us that he watched it and said excellent work. So thank you for that, Kovabomb. You did excellent work. And Nathan has been fun to write. His character is so complex, and we've enjoyed giving you guys pieces of that. We've loved him for a long time because we wrote season 2 before we did anything else. So we didn't start episodes and then write another one later. We wrote all of season 2 before we tried to make the episodes. And so we've known his character arc this entire time. And so it's been really fun to keep ourselves quiet about Nathan and then see how you guys respond as you learn more about him. It was really funny seeing how everybody was like, he's awful, he's a bad guy. And then as you learn more about him, it's like, is he a bad guy? Like, Oh, he's really relatable. What do I do?
Now, Govabomb says he's in Discord if we want or need me to join you in the Q&A.
Maybe we'll take you up on that in a little bit. Not right now, though, but maybe in a little bit. I think people would enjoy that. Okay, moving on. Let me read up on chat. Hold on.
I think the next one is, let's see, what do you do while you build the ships? Do you chat about it? Miss Wolf, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking there, but a lot of times... Oh, I should put some of the other ships I've built here. I'll bring in Sorcerer. A lot of times I have a ship that I need to do something. Some of the blocks aren't available in this world, but hopefully enough of them are.
If you are interested, there are times where he is building a ship for Deadly Salvage. It goes straight to behind the scenes on our Patreon.
This is true.
Our patrons, our patrons have watched him and been involved as far as chatting with him as it's being built. Our patrons have access to that. Obviously, we are not begging for money, but that is available if you are interested enough.
I'm going to pause you for a second. So, creator said, would small grid drone swarms become a thing? And Lucas is like, did somebody say drone swarms? Lucas, for those of you who don't know, is the author of the excellent corruption mod that spawns swarms and swarms of evil, vile drones that will come and destroy your ships like they did in the first available episode of our Saturday Survival. And then later, about halfway through, destroyed another one of our ships that was our pride and joy. And so Lucas has caused us much pain and anguish, and we love him for it. Let's see. How did you make Secret Form Trishula's voice?
I've got this one. Okay. So the Secret Form Trishula is voiced by my real life sister. She is my youngest sister, and she is this bubbly, happy little woman who calls herself Fidget the Crazy. Like, that is her chosen screen name. And she is credited as such. So that kind of puts it into perspective. And when we were writing Trishula, it just made sense. We were both like, we know who we need to voice this character. And it's so fun listening to her. And what you hear is her. Like, the only thing that we do is add a slight chorus, and that's it. So the effect...
yeah. Never mind, go ahead. Sorry.
The effect takes her line and her voice and the sound that she puts in there and just adds a little bit of an echo. So that's it. But all of the inflection, all of the fun little happiness, and the tone of her voice, that's all Fidget. That's all her. A little while ago, she was visiting here, and she did a Q&A on our Discord live with everybody, and that was kind of fun. But she is just really excited to be part of this. She also is the person who we gave her the idea of our logo, the headset with the ball and chain microphone, and she's the one who made that for us. She's also the artist behind Pudding of Doom's icon. She made that for him upon his request as well. So she's a very talented individual, and we're very pleased that she was able to help us out. But yeah, that's her voice, and that's her acting. And there are lots of outtakes when we make our season 2 Silly Salvages. Like, there's going to be a lot of Trishula. She just is stream of consciousness, and it's lots of fun to hear her.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun over here. I'm reading all the comments. So now people are saying to add Deadly Salvage ship to the corruption mod, and Lucas, I think This one will probably be the first ship released. We already have the drone, one of the drones on there, but I don't know if you could do anything with this. This is Sorcerer, and if there was a corruption Sorcerer, she's got 6 forward-firing railguns and a one of Krieg's spinal cannons. So if that's something you'd be interested in killing people with, let me know. Let's see. Any idea when the next Silly Salvage is? Well, John Tech, that'll be when we hit 500 subscribers. We do milestones on the Silly Salvages. We actually hit 250 a lot sooner than we thought we were going to, and so that's another reason why this episode came out about a week later than they usually do. Is we had 1, we went on vacation, 2, we had the Keen Software House video contest, and 3, we had that, so we had to make like 2 extra videos this month, and it was exciting and unexpected. But now we're almost to 300. I'm starting to sweat a little bit, to be honest.
I'm reading. There are a lot of people talking.
Yeah, hang on. Crew, drone swarms. Are you talking about like in the series? So the problem with something like a drone swarm, so I did a little bit of one. So those little tiny drones that you see flying in front of Foundation right now, those are actually the ones from episode 2 that attack Artemis. They're carried on the... I might as well bring this ship in as well. You can hear my youngest son in the background. That's who's going nya nya nya. Let's see. Carrier... AI assault carrier. Come on. Times. But
I am gonna answer really fast before I work with the kiddo here. Mistwolf asked if it were going to be a thing to make a baby AI, like a 5-year-old voice, and I can tell you right now, our 5-year-old would love that. But it's that, like, the thought has crossed my mind to have an AI that chose a child's voice, but we don't know if it did. It's not on our radar right now, but it is technically possible. Like, somebody could choose to do that. Right now, Trishula is the youngest sounding voice that we have for an AI, and she's a little bit eccentric, so we don't know. But yes, that is possible.
Let's see. But yeah, so the drone swarms are really difficult. Something like that is really difficult to film. That's why we ended up not using them that much. You can see this is the AI command carrier that you see. This is actually a command form is what they're called. And you can see here they've got all sorts of these little drones locked onto the bottom, as well as carrying 2 war forms on either side. Incidentally, the reasons war form, like, there's no color code for these guys. Like, this is from Verdict's old fleet, and that's how they chose to be colored. But AI choose their own coloring at the time that they are constructed, or any time that they visit a first form like Foundation, or even if there's a utility form nearby who's willing to repaint them. They're pretty... There's no real rules for them about what they should look like color-wise. But warforms, a lot of times, especially ones that are not in Foundation's faction, are generally dark-colored to blend in with the background of space a little bit. And also they're spiky to strike fear into the hearts of enemies. Let's see. Can you slam all the ships into the second at the end of the video? Says Last Miss Wolf. Only if I want my game to crash. Because right now, I think my SimSpeed's actually... Oh, no, it's still 1.0. I'm impressed. It's a pretty big world right now. These, both Foundation and the command form are really big grids. Let's see. What is the hardest part of Deadly Salvage to make? That's an interesting question. Honestly, the scenes where people are talking. like the opening episode or the opening scene of this episode where Nathan and Detrevny have that really long conversation. It is so very, very difficult to have two people talking to each other. We actually had to reshoot that whole scene because the original script had them in their seats at the very beginning of the conversation, and we shot it that way, and Nab said that she was getting motion sickness because it was just the camera moving around across static objects, and it was really boring. So we reshot all of it with them standing. Thanks, Jure, who is one of our Discord members and patrons who helped us out with that. But we reshot it so people were moving. But man, I was really hoping that the old animation mods, I forget what the guy's name was, but there was like a surrender, like a Vulcan salute, a whole bunch. There's this huge list of character animations that are all broken that I wish would work again. The current style pack, both of us bought it because it has some character animations in it, and we were excited about that. So those are in the game now, and those should help make future conversations a little bit easier. But it's really hard doing conversations on character models that can't move their faces or their arms or their legs or even just their head in any kind of reasonable fashion.
We make it work. Right?
We do make it work. Nab is...
The baby is waving at the...
Yeah. She's gonna go be mom for a bit.
Just for a bit.
That's
what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, this is our son. That was the youngest of our children. See, I like the conversation seed since Kova Bomb. Me too. Paul Drive. Any plans to maybe do a series based off your rescue mission video entry? So Paul, initially there weren't, and we don't have any hard plans right now. But I really enjoy the characters of Morena and Julian, so there's a good chance that we will see them again. As far as a regular series, probably not, but they will. It's likely that they'll show up in another short video at some point in the future, possibly during the hiatus between seasons 2 and 3, but I really don't want to make any promises because I'm noticing my plate is getting fuller and fuller as more and more people start following us. Not that I'm complaining. It's been really exciting. Can you make warheads on the second and make it go boom? I am capable of doing that. Crossover event. Well, Lucas, both... so Rescue Mission actually takes place in the Deadly Salvage universe right after the finale of Deadly Salvage. It happens between season 1 and season 2. It's Stanchion is one of the ships you see get torn apart in episode 5 in the first season, and I was really like, that's one of the scenes that gave me chills, like when watching the music and watching the ships go in, knowing that they're basically going to die against this fleet, but it's their home, so they're going to do everything they can to save it. And Stanchion just gets torn to shreds. And I wanted to show that some people did survive from that. Not many, but some people. And Rescue Mission gave me an opportunity to do that. Oh, yes. We are all about killing the second. Foundation is a good being. I don't know why you don't like the second. See, Pudding. Oh yes, so in season 2, episode 4, my middle boy does the child's voice in that, and I'm not going to say any more about that in case anybody in here hasn't seen that episode, because it gives a little bit more insight into Nathan's character, and it's one of the first times that we really humanize him, and I'm really happy with Nathan's character. Let's see, Smokey, yeah. I have reached close to burnout a couple times. It's usually on specific episodes, but I mean, we do a lot of work in Space Engineers, and since we started this channel, I have put 500 more hours into Space Engineers than I had previously. And every once in a while, I just don't want to. But I do want to keep on making this series. And I love Space Engineers as a game, and I just have to remember that every once in a while I just gotta play. And that's something that our Saturday Survival series has really helped with. Another thing is we're hoping not to be pigeonholed as a Space Engineers channel. I know a lot of you guys, that's why you're here, is our Space Engineers content. And it's really fun content, and I love the game. But we do want to keep playing other games. We've got our little Battletech series. It's not as good as Farrell's Battletech series because I'm not as good at the game, but I think everybody loves it when I say Mariposa. And if you don't understand that, you should look up Mariposa, the Battletech, little Battletech playthrough we've got going through. And we do our Sea of Thieves content, and then we've got, as much as I hate to admit it, we've got our Battle Chef Brigade content as well, which there are a few people who actually really enjoy that, which surprised me, but I totally don't have any fun playing that game at all. None at all. The funny sounding name. Mariposa, yes. Means butterfly in Spanish. The popping is an issue. Check input levels. Is this better? Is this less poppy? Apparently Pudding wants to see some explosions as well. I turned my microphone down. One second. I'm going to try something. Is this better? Sound-wise. Anyway, I'm going to keep on going here. Lanky Captain, cough cough, Supcom, Forge. Yes, Lanky is a fellow fan of the game, Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, and at some point I would love to have a video on that game on the channel. But Nab is a huge strategy person, so, and I'm actually a little lost as to how well it would translate into a video, but I probably will do a video on that at some point because it's such a fun game. And you can actually see a lot of discussion about it in our Discord server. And if any of you in here are not a member of the Discord, please look at the link in our video description and join because we'd love to have you. John Tech says, are there any elements of Deadly Salvage that radically changed as you started working on the series in earnest? The nature of the AIs, actually, the Awoken. Originally, they were just kind of the faceless antagonists because we didn't really have any plans beyond season 1 initially. But when it kind of took off and everybody liked it so much, we took another look at them and decided that they're people too, right? And that was actually a concept with the war form in the first season, Verdict, who wasn't named yet, but we wanted to make him not just a bad guy foil. He's a thinking being, and he that's why he extends that invitation to Artemis, but he is also being subsumed by the hive mind that is this command form, who we named Final Peace, if you missed that. And so he's performing Final Peace's bidding, basically. And but we decided to make them this big, I mean, not a big society, there's not that many of them, but they're all their own people, they have their own culture, and we've really enjoyed creating them and helping them build our world, because it really feels like our characters build the world for us rather than us having to sit down and come up with what's something interesting to put into the show, you know? See you later, Mistwolf. Well, Nab, you may be a strategy person in board games. Real-time strategy is not that different. It just makes more sense. Hopping. Nab Knight's YouTube have a multi-view function as Feral uses it with wasted space. That might be help with streaming strategy games. So multi-view, I'm not sure how that works. I may have to actually talk to Feral or Wasted. Not that I have a relationship with Wasted at all. ask in their Discord and be like, hey, how does the multi-view work? Or just Google it myself and get off my lazy butt. But I have thought about that even for our Sea of Thieves streams, so that we have multiple views instead of having just the nav cam up. Although I kind of like having the nav cam up in the corner, because then you can look at two things at once. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know if you'd rather see something with multiple POVs or continue to have something like the nav cam. Farrell, we have a good internet connection. I've got 40 megabit per second upload, so that should be enough for a multi-POV. I just have to figure it out. Which thruster package is your favorite of all the DS ships? Oh, I really like Nike's thruster pack. I'm a big fan of this. I like subtle asymmetries, but I like my ships to make sense thruster-wise. But I also love Sorcerer's thruster pack. It's very Saturn V from the back. But yeah, so I don't know. That's a good question. I'm leaning towards Sorcerer, but it's pretty close between it and Nike.
Pudding offered a maybe possible solution to the popping in our Discord under Deadly Salvage. I also wanted to answer a question that was answered earlier when he was talking about Verdict. It was the question about what things have changed radically, and the character of the captain of Sorcerer. She changed radically. When in our initial writing, she was a whole lot more official in the sense of like, this is the law and you are going to die and you deserve to die. And so she, that changed radically. One of our patrons, actually has the original script. He's in the tier that allows to be given an original signed script, and that was the one he requested, and it has the original ending for the season finale of season 1. And the captain is just like, really and truly, I'm so glad. The person who voices the Marine sentry that talks to Detrevny, he is the one who was like I'm losing sleep over this, and you have to change this, because he's a military person, and he was just like, this is not realistic, and you can't do this. And so we're really grateful that he stepped in and made us change it, and it works a lot better. So that was something I needed to share. I feel like that was, for me, that was the biggest radical change that happened.
Okay. So
Putting Nike accepts your compliment.
Okay. Loves Nikes, but so John Tech says, how Space Engineer, Nike is how that is pronounced. That is closer to the Greek spelling or Greek pronunciation of the Greek god Nike. John Tech asked, how relatively big is Tumbleweed Station to other in-universe stations? I realized I didn't have Tumbleweed in here. There's Tumbleweed. Rest in peace, Tumbleweed. Tumbleweed is a tiny little space station. Maybe, I mean, it doesn't have an interior at all. I really didn't do anything with this. It was just a set piece. Come in here. It's all, oh, this is the one we blew up. It's got warheads. You can see it's just got a couple levels and no real interior at all. And the way Space Engineers works with its blocks and everything, there'd be like 70 or 80 people living on that thing, I think. But as far as ports go, it's really small, because Tumbleweed, the planet, is not a very large colony. We're right on the edge of settled space, kind of out in the frontier, kind of the wild west of space. There are much larger space stations and colonies farther in, which we can't really show because Space Engineers has some severe limitations when it comes to massive, massive grids. I'm already feeling a little chunk in here, even though it says I'm at 1.0 sim speed. It does not feel like it when I'm moving around. I don't know if you guys are getting that on the stream or if that's just on my end.
We might have to travel to Tumbleweed Station because we have a couple questions about Tumbleweed Station.
Yep, I just answered some.
Okay.
Nap's not listening to the stream.
No, I was checking up on. I'm checking up on our Discord because Farrell just joined us. So thank you for doing
welcome,
that.
Farrell. Let's see.
Sorry about that, everybody.
That's okay.
The Memorian, did you answer that question?
What is actually written on the Memoriam of Tumbleweed Station? Let's see, do I have that blueprint? I'm actually going to go to a different world to get it exactly, so save as QA world. I'm just going to shift worlds. Oh, this is going to give you another little peek behind everything. Exit to main menu, yes. Gonna go back and it'll give you an idea of how many worlds we have to do. I'm just gonna scan through this for a little bit.
Take 1, take 2,
yes.
Please work.
So these are all machinima worlds. You have the ones that say like Slugfest or B&C Gaming survival maps. Almost all these are worlds, and it's just make a new world, make a new world, make a new world, make a new world. Let's see, Nike repair point at station. Can we see the wreck from the AI war? Yes, we can do that. I'll post it into the Tumbleweed world. Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world. Archimedes. Or as the space engineer would say, Archimedes.
Anytime I hear the name Archimedes, I think of Tarzan because that's the name of the old man.
Here's a world you guys probably recognize a little bit. Get out of my way. Come on out here. Be right by the station. I'm not. I'm to teleport. Okay, so here's the wreck of Tumbleweed Station, and here's the memorial, and I'll read it out loud for you guys. In memoriam. Tumbleweed Station was destroyed with all hands despite the brave intervention of the Saguaro Defense Force and local private military vessels. This debris has been stabilized and preserved as a monument and memorial to their sacrifice. Per aspera ad astra. Through struggle the stars is what that last bit is. Or strife or suffering. And yeah, so there's poor Tumbleweed Station post. Since we've got some wreckage in here, I might as well put some more wreckage in. And wreck. AI destroyer wreck. Which one is it? This one? This guy right here. This is before I turned all the thrusters off on it. Shine in here so you guys. And I thought it was going to go. So the reason it's orange is, to me, it looks kind of brownish, and I thought it looked kind of corroded. It doesn't. It looks orange, and so that's another reason that AIs pick their own colors. And this ship was destroyed probably by a Malediction class battlecruiser, as you can see the giant hole right through the center here. Or I guess I should say disabled.
So fun fact for those who don't know, DE is colorblind, which is why it looked brown to him. And people are like, what about that orange thing? And he's like, what orange thing? It's brown. And I'm like, no, it's orange. I didn't think that it was a mistake, but it was. So we run with it. Kind of like Cogit Astra is not technically correct, but it's okay because it sounds cool.
So yeah, there's the wreck, and I basically, and this is where Nathan the Nathan died, and you can see there's a splody there. And I believe there's a splody up here too. But yeah, Nathan was standing like this, looking up at the actual self when everything went explodey.
And of course, Nathan being Stuart Nathan.
Stuart Nathan, yes, the original one we see for one episode who dies. Let's see. You guys have any other thoughts, questions?
And it can be about us too. Yeah,
you can ask about us directly. Anything you guys are curious about. We're not doing a Saturday survival tonight, so this is kind of our stream. We might do a streamed race tonight, but we'll see how that works. If I can fix the audio. Can the ship Artemis resides in be considered Artemis as well? So, yes and no. So the ship Artemis is just a ship, and you could actually take Artemis's AI core out and plug it into another ship, and then that would be Artemis's ship. But Awoken do consider their hulls to be their bodies, just a little bit. They're a little bit less touchy about their bodies than we are, because if our hand gets cut off, it's kind of it for the hand. Whereas if they, like with Verdict, his entire form was destroyed and kind of cannibalized by Artemis, but Verdict is still alive and now has a new hull or body. It's less like power armor and more like it is themselves, but it's somewhere on the line between. As humans, we just can't quite understand it. Plot armor.
Wako says it would be kind of like a brain transplant, and
kind of.
Nah, it's a little bit, with it being mechanical instead of organic. It's obviously a little bit different. But yeah. The space engineer asks, why is Nab? Well, like shocker, but I'm not actually Nab. That's not my name. But yeah. Nabarine is a character that I made a really long time ago, and I use that name as a screen name for everything. So it just kind of stuck with me. That's all. Nobody else has ever used that name before. I made it up. So I enjoy it, and it's simple, and I think it's kind of cute and endearing that everybody calls me Nab. So I just run with it.
Can AIs get post-traumatic stress disorder? Huh.
I would say yes. Like I
not physical, but
not physically, like, they wouldn't have shudders or anything like that. So I personal information here. I have not been officially diagnosed with PTSD, but the person I was meeting was like, the only reason I'm not diagnosing you right now is because I legally cannot do that right now. But he was because he hadn't seen me more than a few times, but he was like, if I could legally do that, this is what your symptoms are. And so the mental and emotional PTSD, I think definitely. Physically, there would not be outward signs. It would all be totally, they would be totally alone. So that makes it even more terrifying to think about. But in a way, yes. Like what a lot of people who have had physical trauma and have PTSD based on that, along with the mental stuff, that can be, that wouldn't be as big of an issue for them because they can't necessarily feel the effects on their quote unquote bodies. But mentally, like if we wanted to go the way of I can't give anything away, but we have ideas about how this could work, how there's a kind of emotional hiccup, and in a way kind of like PTSD, where an AI would be like, no, I can't do this and I won't do this and it makes me uncomfortable and it hurts and I won't do this. So in that sense, yes, I think an AI could have PTSD related symptoms emotionally.
Space Engineer asks, do AI feel pain? Yes.
Emotionally.
They can be uncomfortable. They can be, they don't have physical pain unless somebody programmed one to feel it, which would be pretty messed up, and I wouldn't put it past certain organizations in our universe to do that. Writing it down. But it's more, I mean, they have fully functional emotions, but like when they get shot, it's not like a person getting shot. They don't feel pain. They may feel regret or a sense of loss losing parts of their hull, but it's not like you or I getting a cut or breaking a bone. John Tech has the good questions.
They're all good questions. He has deep questions.
Can cause mental damage to AIs. I don't know.
But
that's a really interesting concept. Writing it down.
I think it depends on how attached they are to their bodies. Like, for example, in season 1, if Detrevny had completely disregarded Artemis and did whatever he wanted with her hull,
she would have cut his legs off.
Absolutely. Like, well, yeah, she would have killed him, like, honestly. So in that sense, absolutely. Like, that's, for her, that would have been extremely mentally damaging, because she was extremely attached to her hull at that point. And so I feel like, yeah, that is definitely something that could happen, but it totally depends on the mindset of the AI and how attached they are to the hull that either they created or was created for themselves. So if they were in the mindset that Verdict is, where it's like, okay, well, I have a new body and that's fine. Like, no, it doesn't bother him. But if that happened in season 1, absolutely Artemis would be a wreck. Like, well, she was a wreck. Ha ha ha. But emotionally, having issues with that. So yeah, I think so. And Paul, yes, cause confusion. Yeah, it would cause confusion to change the or to the AIs if they switch holes too often. Yeah, probably. But you also have to remember that they're quantum computing units and very capable of taking in everything around them very, very fast. So it wouldn't cause confusion for long. But we aren't going to be changing them often just because that would cause massive amounts of confusion to our audiences. So we have to be careful in the different things we explore, because we also need to keep in mind film and how that works, how that comes across, which is another part of my professional training, and the script and how we go about the story is the art to this. Like, yes, space engineers and how we use space engineers is a big part of it to the space engineers community, and I appreciate that and I love that. However, if we had chosen a different engine for this, the story would have been the same. So we don't want to make anything be confusing for the sake of, oh, look at these beautiful ships that we can build. So yeah, we've got your back. Don't worry.
And Space Engineer answered your question. What did I just paste in, DE? Well, I pasted in, this is the worthless little Corvette from season 1, episode 5 and 6. This is the Atreides class corvette. It's another human ship. This is their little FTL patrol boat, basically, but it packs it like a certain Panther. It pack a lot of wallop. It's got a railgun and some rocket launchers and some point defense. These are like the fast attack craft. Well, not really fast because she's got pathetic amounts of thrust, but the quick response craft that the Federal Navy uses. This ship over here was also seen in episode 6 of season 1. A little bit in season. Oh, I have it upside down. The ship never got a name, actually. I just called it the Jeep class attack carrier because it's an adaptation of a different design that I had, and it's an escort carrier, and so it carries little fighters, which it doesn't have in its bays, and then of course, like every human ship in this universe, it relies heavily on kinetic kill. But yeah, you see this ship and Sorcerer take apart the command carrier in episode 6, although it's a near thing for Sorcerer. Especially, you've not watched episode 5. Well, I'm glad I haven't said anything about it. You should.
Well, yeah. Episode. Well, we kind of did in talking about Verdict, but yeah, it's gonna be great. You're gonna enjoy it.
It already is great. Everybody seems to have liked it. Okay, and I don't think it's because they just like us, although that might be part of it.
It was said in the Discord. BB was talking, and he mentioned, he's like, it's kind of fun to see the evolution because we're getting better at it the more we do, and well, I hope so. But thank you for that compliment, BB. We've noticed that as well, where as we are working with it, because we had never done anything like this before, and we had never edited in the editing program that we have, and
that's not strictly speaking true. I had a little bit.
That's true, but not in this way, and so it just was interesting, and then having to figure out how we work together creatively was part of the issue as well. I've got to run downstairs, but yeah.
Let's see, John Tech, what feature do you want my space engineers to add? Ooh. So, more character animations. And that's my middle boy, who is the voice of the little boy in season 2, episode 4. Say hello to the internet.
Hello.
I'm gonna go feed him lunch. Okay. Sounds great. So more character animations. Compound blocks. Seriously, like I want to be able to put 2 blocks on a block if their collision meshes don't actually touch each other. Like it's probably my number one thing that I wish I could have, because it would make ship design a lot easier, because you could have like realistic interiors instead of the weird cavernous or tiny hodgepodge things. While I'm waiting for everything to catch up. Oh, everyone says hello. He's gone now, going to go get some food. I'll give you a little tour of Palomino, which you guys, I think several of you in this chat actually joined the server because you saw this ship in action in our rescue mission. So Palomino is a little intra-system shuttle. She does not have a jump drive. She is designed only for carrying cargo from one planetary area to another inside of a single solar system, and Morena bought it and refurbished it as a rescue craft because she's a responsible human being like that. Just got a little pilot area up here. Interesting facts. See these interesting textured panels? This is the back of the lockers. This is the back of the weapons locker, and it gives really good texturing. It's got acceleration couches and beds back here, and of course, the bathroom. And that's just, yep, that's it. And she's a tiny little ship. So rotors and blast doors are 4DE. Diamondback says, if there was one thing you could change or a detail you could add on all ships, what would it be? Well, honestly, they did fix the texture. I actually haven't played with it yet, but you know, you could, now that we can do stuff like this, change the texture of everything on the blocks. Oh, it actually affects the some of the other blocks too. But the fact that they let us change texture on it now is pretty neat. The bloom, the dirty glass. It's a lot of stuff I wish that didn't take place on the ships. Maybe. We need to ask why Morena's character's name is Morena. There is a reason, but no, it is not Nabarine's name. But there is a reason. Also, I'm a fan of the song from Desperado. Spectre, that's a hard question. I don't exactly know how to answer it. I guess more Greebles too. I wish there were, you know, sometimes I find myself dissatisfied with how I'm able to build ships, with the shapes that we have. I wish there were more shapes. I had to cut one out from the story. Wreck, Nike, Sorcerer, or Artemis. They're all kind of pretty necessary to the story. Sorcerer, at least for season 2, Sorcerer is probably the least important out of the 3. But if it weren't for that original wreck, we wouldn't have the story at all. So I don't know. I know you'd accept more Greebling. Oh, I know what it is. A way to attach small blocks to large grids that doesn't involve rotors. I don't care if it has to be a subgrid or whatever, but somehow that makes it part of the same grid and also eliminates this. See that? We had to completely redesign the inside of Nike because the original version used these subgrids and it wasn't doing this at first, and now it does it all the time. Diamond Spectre, this is that mod. This is the attachments mod. This is the attachments mod right here, and it's causing, because they're rotors, it's causing this bizarre vibration. And then the version that you see in episode 5, I actually have this console landing geared to the ship, and I've removed the attachment because it was causing all sorts of clang issues. And this is actually attached by a rotor because the attachments mod vibrates like crazy. You can see these guns were originally subgridded on as well because it looked really cool and they exploded off. But I couldn't show anything. Oh, these are all gone. These all got blown up. Yeah, Nike took some hits. But yeah, definitely some way of attaching small blocks to large grids in a way that doesn't cause that vibration. Or maybe someone could just update that attachments mod because has something to do with that mod, because a regular rotor doesn't vibrate like that. And I've tried everything to make it stop. Supergrid for machinima purposes would be one of the more acceptable uses. I have actually never supergridded something, and I don't really know how to do it, but I would be willing to learn, I guess. Because I know it's possible to put large grid blocks on a small grid. But as I understand, doesn't it change the actual hitbox of the block? Blast door blocks. Yeah, the problem is I don't know if blast door blocks would work on that. Favorite piece of science fiction media? Oh. So, some of you in the Discord have seen The Office and have seen all the Star Trek stuff around. I am a huge Star Trek fan. And TV show science fiction, Star Trek The Next Generation, hands down, is my favorite piece of science fiction media. Book media. Probably Ender's Game is my favorite science fiction book. And movie... three-way tie between The Wrath of Khan, Serenity, and The Fifth Element. Farrell, I know. It didn't do this until after this vibration didn't happen until after the update that gave us the style pack. Once that update hit, everything was vibrating again. So they changed something about collision meshes or something in the mod API changed just enough to make it do this. Okay, Spectre, I'll probably take you up on that at some point. I will. I'll be in touch. But honestly, it's not going to be an issue for much longer, because Nike's seen better days, and I do have the version of Nike with the landing geared cockpit, which I had to be careful not to show too much. You can still catch some glimpses of it in episode 5 if you're careful. Good luck, Farrell. Maybe your builds are less susceptible to it. It might. Who knows? For all I know, it might just be blueprints that were made before. I don't know. But yeah. Well, I mean, we've only got one more episode, Spectre. Let's see. Favorite line from Deadly Salvage for me? I think I've got 2. I think my favorite line from season 1 is "Go to sleep," and I think everybody loves that line. And I think my second favorite line, from season 2, my favorite line there is actually from this episode when Nathan's talking about balancing the scales. It's just such an ominous line, and Kovabomb delivers it beautifully. And it's just, I don't know, I was just like, ooh, it's a good line. Mufasa. And we do Apollo versus Artemis. So for now, we're actually going to be keeping Artemis out of any worlds, any kind of public worlds that anyone can join, because we did have an incident where somebody took a blueprint of one of our ships without being asked. We actually had a couple of them. And it got cleared up afterwards. But we're trying to hang on to our blueprints for now. I do on my workshop have a blueprint of the war form, the blue war form, from season 1. And I also think I have a blueprint of Tumbleweed up, but those are the only 2 Deadly Salvage blueprints that I have public right now. We're trying to kind of hold everything together until we're done, and maybe that's childish on our part, but it's just we're really, really protective of our world and what we've created, and we don't want to see things getting used for things we don't want them used for quite yet. I mean, we're not. I mean, obviously people can build them themselves. Space Engineer actually has an almost exact copy of the original Artemis, and he did that just by watching Deadly Salvage again and again and making it, and that's fine. That's his, and he can do whatever he wants with that blueprint. But the blueprints that I have here, I will not be sharing them in the foreseeable future. Space Engineer, I wasn't saying that you weren't trustworthy, and that wasn't a public world. That was just friends only, and I specifically invited you in to see it. I knew you weren't going to take any blueprints, so it's a case by case basis kind of thing. But I don't think we're going to do any combat tests with these ships, because honestly, as cool as Artemis looks, she's not a great ship to fly. Let me see if we can fly over to Battle Artemis here. She doesn't have the best thrust characteristics. So you can see here, her forward acceleration is quite good. Her reverse acceleration is acceptable. Her side acceleration is pathetic, as is her vertical acceleration. She turns okay, and she can dish out a decent amount of damage with a railgun. Let's put a round through Tumbleweed. Not that she would ever do that, but she's not the greatest ship to fight with, and she actually did show up in one of our goofy battle streams, and Nabarine flew her, and she got absolutely destroyed. Love to snap that hammerhead right off. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell Artemis you said that, Space Engineer. I'm going to tell her you said that. Paul, thank you for understanding. Foundation lines and the banana voice and that silly salvage. Oh, the next silly salvage is there are going to be some bloopers. Let me tell you, there are going to be so many bloopers from season 2. All right, I think I'm going to wrap this up here. Unless anybody has any more questions they'd like me to answer about myself or Deadly Salvage or the channel or anything off the top of your head, because I am ravenous and I need to go eat something. So, does anyone have any further questions? I'm glad you like the armor wings, Space Engineer. Oh, hang on. It's going on. I'm going to swap out. Nab's going to take the computer here, and Kovabomb, go ahead and join one of the Discord channels. We'll drag you into Ball and Chain. Nab, go. She was just right behind me. She's left me to starve to death. It's a lunch, actually, pudding. Paul, directed energy is a nerdy laser reference, and my initial screen name was actually Detrevny, but I changed it because people started using Detrevny. Oh, there is Kovabomb.
Hello.
Hello.
Forgive the rattling around. I needed to get my mic in position. There you go. How do I sound?
You sound great. I'm gonna swap out for Nab. She can take care of the rest. If anybody has questions for Kovabomb, the voice of both of the Nathans, please type them in.
Yes, indeed. You've got both Nathans here. You can ask us anything, in or out of character.
Goodness.
Hello.
Hi. Okay. So whatever, I hear this music going on in the background in my headphones, but I don't think I heard it on the playback on the YouTube, so I'm not sure. Let's see.
Well, there's no music on my end.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Capturing it, I'm not sure.
Diamondback Spectre says that I sound like Wayoon.
That's happened a few times. They've talked about that on our Discord as well. Oh, right. His mouse is...
Gul Dukat is a preening egotist and a fool. We offered him unchallenged control of the Alpha Quadrant, and all he could think about was his daughter.
So those of you who are unfamiliar with Kovabomb, he does have his own channel on YouTube, and we've linked it a few times. You're not active in that right now though, right?
On YouTube, my own channel?
Yes.
I haven't posted anything in a long time, but that doesn't mean that I'm not active in other groups and stuff. I've been involved in several projects, and I add to my playlists regularly for programs and other projects that I've been a part of. So while I may not be posting stuff that I've made myself, if people periodically check my extended project and other playlists, they'll see stuff that I've been a part of.
So yeah, if you are interested, I'm just gonna mute this in my ears then, because no. So it's playing. This music is playing in my ears, and I'm looking at voice meter, and it's got to be voice meter. But I don't. OBS is picking it up, so I'm not sure what that's about. I'm sorry, guys, that wasn't playing. I'm sure thought it was, but that's unfortunate. Silly voice meter. Anyway, Kovabomb is a very talented voice actor himself. He has done a lot of projects for other people on the interwebs as well, and it's been fun to work with him because, surprise, surprise, he's my brother.
That is very true. That is very true.
So we've shared creative stuff before in our personal past, but this has been fun. When we wrote the original Stuart Nathan, it was like, well, we need a voice, and we're sure Kovabomb would love to do this for us, and of course he was awesome and did that. And then when we were writing season 2, we're like, oh, this is what if the pilot is Stuart Nathan's brother? And we're like, oh, we hope that Kovabomb works with us on this, and of course he did, and he's wonderful, and so we deeply appreciate his work. So
is it okay if I share with them the direction that you gave for creating William Nathan's voice?
Yeah, if you want.
So
I'm gonna close my door. Hold on.
Okay, so when I originally created the voice for Stuart Nathan, it was basically just my ordinary speaking voice, very clear. But when we were bringing on William Nathan, the direction that I was given was that he was a mix of, he was a mix of, I'm spacing on the name of the captain in Firefly. It was
Nathan Fillion's character.
Yeah. It's Captain Reynolds. He's an evil Captain Reynolds with a mix of the Joker and another character that I played, Scourge the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
That was the direction that I was given. He's a mix of Captain Reynolds and the Joker.
And then vocally, the hedgehog thing, because he's done the voice of Scourge the Hedgehog in comic dramas online, and so I knew
Scourge the Hedgehog being Sonic the Hedgehog's mirror universe counterpart.
Yes.
Now, let's see. There was a question in here. What does the Kova in Kova Bomb mean? Nah.
Yeah, this is a question that we can't really answer, actually, not publicly. But it's a personal choice of his to use that.
Yeah.
But sorry.
Yeah, it is personal significance.
Yeah,
but
personal significance.
Yeah. But let's see. Everybody's like spamming Mel, Malcolm Reynolds.
Yep. Because they were on to that much faster. It was funny because when you're like, I've spaced, I'm like, well, apparently I have to. I'm not sure why, because it's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a common thread in our family that we really like Firefly and a couple of other big things. Our dad and me especially are big into Star Trek. Our dad got me into Star Trek. I remember watching episodes of The Next Generation when it was actually airing.
Yes. And DE was born the day that it actually premiered. So they watched it in the hospital the day he was born. So that might explain some stuff if you know him in real life. But yeah. Let's see. Next Generation, yep, truly. Let's see. Doxed. Oh, well, not really. I mean, like, people know how old you are, for heaven's sakes. Sorry. I would say an event that happened on my birth date, but I don't know. Let's see. I am trying to think of questions myself for you, Kova Bomb. What has been your favorite part of working with us here on Deadly Salvage?
Two things I would say. The first one is the actual recording. Being behind the microphone and actually getting into character, voicing the script, giving the character his voice, I would say is one of my favorite parts. Then, the other favorite part is just watching the premieres, seeing everything come to fruition and seeing our characters on the screen given life and knowing that, yes, I remember recording that. I remember putting that onto, I remember speaking that into the microphone. That feeling is something that I really like too. There are those that I've heard in the community of like voice actors and stuff who just can't listen to themselves. They hate the sound of their own voice because it sounds different in the headphones than it does coming out of your vocal cords, because I mean, your ears are basically getting feedback from your own voice. So when you hear your voice recorded as opposed to how you hear it when you're speaking, some people just can't stand that. But me, myself, I love hearing the characters that I have voiced. It's not anything. It's not like a narcissistic thing or anything like that. It's just like I really enjoy hearing the characters that I have voiced and having that sensation. Yes, I remember saying that. That's something that I did. It's a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah. How about you explain the process of how we send you the stuff and how you record it? Because a lot of people, I don't think, based on questions we've had in the past on our Discord, a lot of people don't understand the voice acting thing. They think that sometimes people think that you know the whole script, or sometimes people are like, oh, how many takes go into this? And other people think that you and the voice of Trishula also like play the game. So how about you explain how this goes?
Well, yeah. The voice actress for Trishula and myself, we've never played Space Engineers. And the way that I do my recording, at least, and the way that I have been given the scripts that I get an email from NAB or from Directed Energy, and they have an attachment in there with a trimmed script with only the relevant scenes that my character is in. So I only see what is relevant for my character. I see like the other side of the conversations that he's in, like when William is talking with uh, again, I'm spacing on name.
Anyway.
Yeah. I see the other side of the conversations that William is in, but that's pretty much the extent of it. There are whole chunks of the script that I don't get because my character isn't part of them. So there are parts that even I am surprised at when the video goes up. So as for the recording process, once I get the script, I have a little setup. I'm on a laptop. I don't have a desktop computer. I have my laptop, and then I have a Samson C01U USB studio condenser microphone that I plug in. And from there, in my current setup, I go into my closet because it's the most acoustically it has the least amount of echo to it. So I go in there and I record my lines, and then in the editing software, I save a raw version that has no edits or anything, just maybe taking a few dead spaces out, but it's completely raw. And then I also go in and save a version of the recording that has had maybe some noise removal done on it and maybe some amplification and leveling. And I let NAB and Directed Energy decide which version they want, but I provide both of them to them. But that's just the way that I do it. And then from there, they take over the editing.
Yep, and the editing of it is always fun because we get to pick and choose which takes we want, and he's very good at giving us different emotional takes. And so there have been a few times where the line is delivered a certain way and we're like, that doesn't work, but then another take is like, yep, that's perfect, we want that one, and we stick that one in. Or there have been some times where it's like, oh, there was something there at the end that we didn't want, but happily this take has it, and so we can splice them together and get exactly what we want. And so it's fun like that, but we don't have to do the splicing very often. Because he does a good job delivering lines the way.
Yeah, and one of the things that I do with my recording work over the internet, at least, when I do a recording or reading of a script, I do at least 2 or 3 takes of each major line, which gives the editor the choices that NAB was just talking about. But one thing that's different when recording an audiobook is when you're in the studio, you have the editor listening to what you're recording as you speak it. And the way that they usually want you to do when you're in the studio and you have the editor there with you listening to you, they want you to just read through the script, and then they stop you if they hear something that they don't like, and they ask you to go back and re-record that one line. So, and there are also other situations where I find when I'm recording like a long script, that if I just read the script in front of me, and then I try and catch myself if I slip up or if I mispronounce something, then I go back and re-record it. It would just be too big a job to do multiple takes of like a huge audiobook. So those are the two methods that a voice actor can use for recording: doing multiple takes of every line, or doing just a single take and going back and correcting yourself.
Thank you for stopping by. Those of you guys who are leaving, we are glad that you were able to stop in and listen. Yes, but as as Ball and Chain is saying, or DE downstairs is saying, there's walk-in closets. Pudding was saying walk-in closets are apparently very popular, even standard in U.S. flats, and he's like, we live in houses, not flats. And or apartments, we call them apartments. But yes, DE and I own a house, and the house that most houses, yes, have a kind of walk-in, not really actually walk-in. It's a closet with enough space to put like boxes in. So like you have to stuff yourself into most of them, but yeah, there's space enough that you can go in there. Walk-in closets in the sense of like it's a room that's not standard. That's not.
Yeah, usually there's only enough room in a standard US closet that you can like hang stuff up. You've got maybe a shelf in there. You've got hangers and such. But a good deal of closets in a typical United States bedroom is just large enough to be almost ideal for a recording studio.
Yes.
If you manage to squeeze a few things. An empty closet doesn't. I mean, a full closet that has like some clothes hanging on the line almost makes itself a good recording booth, because there's all kinds of dampening in there. But an empty closet has reverb just like any other room.
Anyway, so getting back to Deadly Salvage discussion and
yes,
stuff like that. So have you had anybody in your own life that has asked you about your work on Deadly Salvage, or is it mostly you talking to people online about it? This is a question that I have.
So, like somebody that I have not met before, or somebody that I have not mentioned it to, bringing it to my attention is hey.
No. We are very small, and I do not expect that to be happening. I was talking about more like if people have been talking about science fiction, and you're like, hey, here's this that I do, and people in real life talking to you afterward.
Well, I would say that the reception in the circle of friends and groups that I am in, those that I have shared it with, they have really liked it. It depends on who I'm talking to. If it's somebody who I am big into voice acting with, or somebody who is really big into science fiction, I would readily share what I have done with those people. And I mean, in my personal life, I don't trumpet the fact that I'm on YouTube.
Right.
Because, I mean, being a YouTuber is not necessarily what I am. I mean, I may have my account from way back when YouTube was first getting off the ground. Some people would call it an OG account. But I wouldn't call myself a YouTuber, because I don't make my living off of YouTube.
Right.
So, but anyway, when I come to know somebody well enough, or if we're in the same field, or we are both in the same group, and I feel it's appropriate to share, I share my work with people. And almost always they come back and they say, wow, this is really good. And I think this is good quality. There's actually an experience that I had when I was still making comic dramas. Do we have time that I could share this?
I don't know what you're gonna share, so.
Well, it'll only take a few minutes, but basically, it was an interesting event. I was making comic dramas, and just so you know, I believe I am kind of the guy who originated that term, comic dramas. To my knowledge, nobody else used that before I did. But what happened was I was making Sonic the Hedgehog comic dramas, and I was posting links to it on a message board that was dedicated to the author of a good deal of those stories. And people were really giving good feedback. And then the moderator of the board, the guy who wrote those stories, he came on, he saw the links, and then he posted something saying, well, this is when I really hate my own rules, because these are good quality things, but it's tantamount to a full comic scan. So while I can't endorse this, I'm not going to delete this thread. I'm going to lock it, but I'm not going to delete it. This is good stuff that you've made, but I can't endorse this.
Right.
So that was an interesting situation that I found myself in. And it was also kind of while it was encouraging, it was also kind of a snuff on the flame for me, because I realized, yeah, this is, I mean, it's good quality stuff that I'm making, but at the same time, it kind of killed the drive to keep doing that.
Right. Because copyright, like any YouTuber, and I know that, you don't see yourself as a YouTuber, but if you're making videos with other people's content, then that is always something that is a difficult thing, where it's like, no, I made this, but yes, I recognize you made it. And now, especially with YouTube's copyright algorithms and the way they do the strike system, it's, they're still working things out, but I definitely understand how that would be kind of disheartening, where it's like, oh yeah, he cannot endorse it because legally, if he did, that would be an issue. So yeah, but thank you everybody for watching. We are gonna have to probably head off, just like everybody else is heading off.
Okay.
But we are so grateful that you all have been sticking with us and that you've enjoyed Deadly Salvage. And don't worry, we're planning on writing a lot more. And as like we said earlier, as long as we have a story to write, we will write it. And maybe if you guys trust us with these scripts and not just space engineers, you might see some other things from using different games as our engines, depending on the stories we want to tell, because the story for us is the real star. DE is proud of these builds, and I think they're lovely and they're great. Being able to build our own set pieces is fantastic, but if there are other stories that we want to tell, we hope you stick around for those as well. When Deadly Salvage inevitably finishes. I mean, obviously we're not going to be writing this for 30 years, so
but yeah, I get what you're saying. Story is king, no matter how it's presented.
Yep. Anyway, thank you all so much, and we will talk to you later.
See you, everybody.
Oh, I don't know how DE does this. I don't know how to stop the stream, but I will come over here. Here we go. All right, I've figured it out. Think. He's got to run upstairs. No, nope, we're not. He's got to run upstairs and do it. Yep, here you are. He's got a third. Yep, he's got a third monitor, and I'm like, I can't. Bye, you guys.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.